Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
5-second violation against Alabama.
Now Mashack's got to go.
He will fire. He wins it! Jamai Mashack wins it! What a game. Game of the year in college basketball. Buzzer beater for Tennessee.
Folks, what is up, and welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. You're here with Austin and Blake, and man, we have got a lot to talk about, Austin, because yet again, the Vols just can't stop winning, bro. We're winning across the board. There's literally not a loss in sight for any
Except
sports
the Lady
team,
Vols.
basically, at this point. Well, yeah, well, I was just going to gloss over that. I was going to try to gloss over that. But when it comes to the men's basketball team and the men's baseball team, there's not a loss in sight for weeks now. And so, man, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the big, huge win over number 6 Alabama. For the Vols, they were 6. We're now bumped up to 4. We were 5. And so huge win because now we're right back in that conversation for a 1 seed and also just a classic game. Absolutely classic game. And then the baseball Vols are still just on a tear. Got a sweep against all of their competition in that Houston Astros tournament. And they were still hitting bombs even in an MLB stadium. And so, man, just a ton to talk about. But I got to start with, dude, I don't know where you were when Mashack hit that shot. I was actually at an awards ceremony for work. And we were trying to watch the game. My stream was a little bit behind. And so the owner of our company had the stream up on his phone. And so I'm over there behind his shoulder watching the game. And then we're about to inbound it with 3 seconds left, right? And I'm just like, okay, we're going to overtime. So I go to sit back at my chair and just watch my stream. And then right at the time I walk away, he throws his hands up. He hit it. We won. And I run back over there. I was like, no way, dude. Absolutely unbelievable, legendary stuff from Mashack.
It was legendary. I have a shameful admission on Vol Talk. So I was watching with Dakota at the apartment, and to be honest, every time Mashack got the ball, we were kind of flaming him. To be honest, he's not known for his offense. So all game, we're like, dude, this is not the guy you want the ball in his hands. And then he starts taking the ball up for that final shot, and Dakota's like, really? You're giving it to this guy? And then he puts the shot up, hits it, we win. Literally possibly the most clutch shot in Tennessee Vol basketball history. I don't think that's really debatable for the men's because think about it, this is the game that we needed to potentially get us in that 1 seed for the first time ever. So, I mean, what a shot by Mashack. And it wasn't just the shot, dude. It was the sequences leading up to the shot. So, he had the offensive rebound on Chaz's free throw, and then he drew a foul after that rebound. Then he made his free throws after he drew a foul. He made both his free throws. He's only like a 73% free throw shooter, but he made 2 clutch free throws. And then he tied it up on Bama's final possession, then forced a 5-second violation to give us the ball back, which was huge. I mean, they had an opportunity. Alabama had an opportunity at the end of the game to have a final shot, have a walk-off themselves, but Mashack forced that 5-second violation, and then he made the 32-foot game-winning buzzer beater, most clutch shot in Tennessee history. So never will I say a bad word about Jamai Mashack again. But in all fairness, we were also talking about how good he is defensively. He's just not known for his offense. But dude, I mean, maybe you've unlocked something with Mashack. Not consistently, obviously. But dude, in the clutch, there was nobody more clutch, right? He hits the 2 free throws. He hits the 3-point shot. So why not give it to him in those opportunities going forward?
Yeah, and it's funny because I watched the replay, and I don't know if you've seen this, but Zakai and Coach Barnes were actually trying to call a timeout.
Yep.
They did not want Mashack to take that 35-footer or whatever it was. And a quick fun fact, quick little bit of Tennessee lore, that was actually nearly the exact same spot on the court that Chris Lofton hit the go-ahead three against Texas many years ago when
that's awesome.
And he hit it over Kevin Durant and Coach Rick Barnes. So pretty insane little, because yeah, it was like right there, right below the E. That's exactly where Chris Lofton was when he hit that go-ahead three against Texas back in the day. But yeah, it was funny. They obviously agreed with you and Dakota that they didn't necessarily want Mashack taking that shot. But to your point, it's like, man, he was absolutely clutch at the end of the game. He just took the game over in those final seconds and won us the game, and is now cemented as just an absolute legend, because of course it's not only for, like you said, a number one seed, but it's against our rival Alabama. I mean, they're obviously not they're more of a football rival, but they are Alabama. They are our rival just through and through. And so to hit that kind of shot and to have that kind of sequence at the end of the game against Alabama, just absolutely legendary stuff. You got Coach Heupel in the stands. He's smoking a stogie. Already. Getting the team hyped up when we were tied 66-66. It was just what a awesome game, awesome environment too.
Yeah, it was an electric environment, dude. They played Dixieland Delight after the game. It was awesome, dude. It was a great win. And yeah, man, going back to Rick Barnes trying to call the timeout, dude, he looked pissed when Mashack took the shot. He looked furious. He was, because they want to get the ball to Zakai, because Zakai as of recently has been our go-to player in the clutch. After they realized Chaz Lanier wasn't going to bring that this year, then they started going to Zakai, and Zakai had been clutch. Frankly, he really had been. But dude, I mean, you just can't argue with what Mashack did. I mean, the shot was insane. The shot was nuts, but really, you can't overlook everything he did leading up to that shot in the final minute. Because we needed every bit of it. The game was looking like it was over, like it had slipped away, and we literally needed every single bit of Jemai Mashack's playmaking ability in that final 60 seconds, and it happened. Just another crazy stat coming out of the game. This was Tennessee's 8th consecutive win in Knoxville against top 10 teams. Rick Barnes Vols are also 8-0 all time in Knoxville against top 6 teams.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, what Rick Barnes has accomplished here is unbelievable, man. I just hope for him and also for us, selfishly, that it can end in at least a Final Four run. And who knows with the 1 seed this year, dude. I mean, the competition, listen, if we can avoid Duke and Auburn, I really don't think there's anyone we can't beat. And if we get that 1 seed, we will be guaranteed to avoid them up until the Final Four. So it would just be awesome for it to end that way. Or a national championship, that would be fantastic as well, obviously. But just what he's done here, the program he's built at Tennessee is just, man, insane, incredible. I mean, the stats are nuts, dude. Like that's something we cannot take for granted, despite maybe the tournament not going the way we want it every year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, it's insane. Like you said, the stats are insane regardless, because it's college basketball, right? I mean, to be able to have those kind of numbers, against top 6 teams at home is just awesome, incredible. And obviously that speaks to, everyone involved in the program, our players, and then also the fans, creating an environment as well. And so just very, very cool to see what Coach Barnes has done with the basketball program. And so, yeah, now it comes down to, this number 1 seed, and can we lock in that number 1 seed, which I think I truly, again, we've talked about this, right? We don't know how the committee will take into account the SEC tournament. Auburn has won the regular season SEC championship. In fact, former coach Bruce Pearl, I'm sure you saw, tweeted out VFL and War Damn Eagle, right? He was repping his VFL status. And so, of course, it was because by beating Alabama, we secured the regular season championship for Auburn. But we're going to be going into the SEC tournament, and so it's, we'll see how that plays out. But if we can take care of business, and win against Ole Miss and
South Carolina.
South Carolina, that's right. South Carolina will be at home, and Ole Miss, I believe, is on the road. if we can take care of business against them, and then we can just, at least make a little bit of a run in the tournament, I think we're a lock for the 1 seed. I mean, our resume speaks for itself.
I agree. I mean, we should get a 1 seed at this point if we win out and don't get bounced in the first round of the SEC tournament. The SEC tournament is going to matter because if they're still debating us versus Florida or Alabama, and Florida or Alabama go on to win the SEC tournament, that could knock us out. So we're going to have to show up for that tournament as well. But we're in a really good position. Like this had to happen. This win against Alabama had to happen for us to be in this position. So we took care of business in that way. Dude, you started the show saying it was just a great game in general, and that was so true. I mean, it was a back and forth game all game long. And honestly, Alabama started to pull away, and then we made the comeback. And I mean, the team has shown that a lot this year. I mean, they've shown the ability to come back from adversity, being down. I mean, there's been several games this year I can remember where we're down going into half, and we make a comeback. Jordan Gainey made a super clutch shot at the end of the first half. A lot like his Illinois play. Frankly, it looked a lot like a similar play. And that gave us momentum going into halftime because Alabama had got a decently sizable lead at that point, and then Gainey drives down and hits that layup at the buzzer before the half. So, and he was awesome in this game. We were talking about that before the pod. Gainey was absolutely incredible off the bench. And Chaz started the game super hot. He did cool down. But Chaz was a huge contributor, and honestly, Chaz has put together a few games in a row now, man. I mean, like he might be putting it together a little bit, and finding a few different ways to score. I've noticed as well. It's not just completely reliant on the 3-point shot like it was earlier in the year. So who knows? I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, even in this game, you make a great point. I'm actually glad you brought that up because even against Alabama, Chaz had 18 points, but he only hit 2 threes. He was 2 of 8 from 3, and he was hitting some mid-range, 2-point jumpers and stuff like that. Yeah, so I think you might be honest, and I think you might be right. Hopefully Chaz is kind of opening up himself as a player a little bit, right in time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a perfect time to get right. I mean, it wasn't like an insane shooting day for him, but finding different ways to win on the court is so important. And he's found different ways to score, dude, and that's what we need from him. And Zakai continues to score above his season average. I mean, he's incredible, dude. And again, it's since that Kentucky game, dude. He's just been absolutely phenomenal. And then, of course, Mashack. I mean, none of this happens without Mashack, what he did. My poor Igor seems like he's scared to shoot now. But it's all right. We're going to get him back by the time the tournament goes. But, dude, and again, we just did enough. And I'm just so impressed because, like I said, Alabama got a sizable lead in the first half, and it looked like they were going to hold on to it most of the second half. But then we just fought back, dude. We clawed back, and I mean, and it was and you had to have it, right? You had to have it for that 1 seed, which I think, and I'm harping on that because it's so important, dude. I mean, it's like that could have been the difference to us winning a national championship last year. Had we got a 1 seed last year and not had to run into Purdue, we possibly could have won a national championship. Definitely would have made them Final Four, in my opinion. So that's going to be huge, and they just did enough, and they clawed back, fought back, and find a way to be a really, really good team. So,
yeah, massive for sure, and definitely good to see so many different players getting involved, and just like you said, finding different ways to score on the court, and we seem to be hitting a decent stride, heading into March. I mean, we're in March now, and we started March, with, like you said, it was a back and forth game. We had to claw our way back against Alabama, but like you said, this team is able to fight and to stay in these tight games against the best teams in the country. For instance, with Auburn, right? We were right there with them, right until the end of the game. And so and now against Alabama, we're able to fight and claw our way back, and then end up winning the game, right? And so that's absolutely huge to be able to do that when it's when these teams are essentially equal, right? I mean, we were on the road against Auburn, and we're right there with them, but then we didn't find a way to win. Well, now we're right here with Alabama, but we found a way to win. And so we just, yeah, I mean, I'd love to see us make a run in the SEC tournament, but primarily I'm concerned about us just doing enough to, like you said, lock in that 1 seed, because it will absolutely be massive. And I mean, anything can happen once we get to if we can get to the Final Four.
Oh yeah,
Anything can happen, man.
and like you said, we already played Auburn extremely close, and that's one of the toughest, stiffest competitions out there. I don't know how we'll match up with Duke and Cooper Flag. That's going to be a really really tough matchup. But outside of those two teams, I just don't see anyone else that outside of Kentucky. Hopefully, we stay away from Kentucky. We talked about that last episode, but I mean, I just don't think there's anybody else that we can't beat on any given day, and like, I mean, we also can beat Auburn. So, and it's a tough tournament. So if Duke gets bounced before we have to meet up with them in the tournament, like you said, you just never know what can happen. One game though, this midweek game against Ole Miss, dude, we cannot overlook this game. Ole Miss is a really tough team, has been playing teams tough all season long, and it's on the road. This is an easy game to overlook. You just beat Alabama. You're coming off that super emotional win. I mean, everybody knew what that game meant, and you have the added fact that it's a rivalry game. And, I mean, just look at TBA that game. I mean, it was definitely the most electric game in TBA all season long. And so you could easily slip up after this
Yep.
kind of win, dude. So I hope they're very conscious of that. And because you lose against Ole Miss, dude, and like that, then you have to make a run in the SEC tournament if you want to work your way back into the 1 seed conversation. So,
yeah, you're probably gonna have to bounce out of the tournament like a Florida or a Bama or an Auburn or something, at that point. So yeah, we gotta take care of business. Hopefully, Coach Barnes can get them locked in. Hopefully, the players are just locked in. I hope, like you said, it's very possible that this becomes a trap game of sorts, right? But the flip side of that coin is, hey, all of a sudden we've got this confidence, that we just beat our rival in a huge, buzzer beater game, and then all of a sudden they've got some swagger, they've got some confidence, and they're locked in for the rest of the season, throughout the tournament, the SC tournament, and the big dance. So I hope that's the case. We'll see, but it's going to be exciting stuff, man. I can't help but to keep thinking about, I always go back to this, this football analogy of in '97 we had Peyton Manning, the greatest quarterback of all time, and it's like, man, we should have won a national championship that year, but then we didn't, and then we, come back the next year and it's like, okay, we're not as loaded as we were, but then all of a sudden we come and we win the national championship. Could the same be the case with Dalton Connect? And it's like, man, we should have won a national championship with Dalton Connect. What a generational player. And then, no one thinks that we can do it with the team that we have this year. And then we do it. Who knows? I will say this, though. I do want to make a small prediction about your boy Igor. I do think that we have not seen the end of him. I think at some point in the tournament he will have a huge game. Definitely. And maybe even be the reason we win a game, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, because he's still doing what he did before he kind of started exploding scoring. He's contributing in other ways. Like he's again, he found a wide open Chazanier in this Alabama game for a 3-point shot. He just sees the floor so well. He's still contributing in a huge way. We're gonna need him, dude. We're gonna need every single bit of it, because even though Chaz has come on lately and has been more consistent and finding different ways to score, he's still not Dalton Connect. He still doesn't have the isolation one-on-one basketball abilities that Dalton Connect has, that you can literally just give him the ball and let him work. And so, I mean, we're gonna need every single bit of production going into the tournament. And it seems like the team's starting to mesh well together. I mean, they kind of have all year, I felt like, but especially recently. And there's something to that ability to find a way to win, dude. Like, we were down in that Vanderbilt game, dude. That Vanderbilt game at home, and we fought back and we found a way to win. And it's going to be huge that we don't have to go on the road. I mean, this team is clearly a lot worse on the road than at home. We're never going to have to go on the road at the tournament. So the question is, can they do that on a neutral site? And Vols fans travel, so there's going to be a lot of Vols fans. There's going to be a ton of Vols fans at the SEC tournament. There is every single year since it's in Nashville. But even the big tournament. So and like I said, there is something to that intangible of, okay, a team that just stays in every game. Like, really the only game that's been a blowout this year was that weird series with Florida where, like, both teams just completely annihilated each other, and the losing team had historically bad shooting days. Like, that series, that'll go down in history as one of the weirdest occurrences of the basketball season. But outside of that series, dude, I mean, gritty, tough, close games, and most of the time we're coming out on top of those games. So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting, dude. It's gonna be interesting. I think this Ole Miss game will tell us a lot. Are they gonna be too emotional after this Alabama game, after this big win? And then, of course, the SEC tournament, dude. I mean, Jay Billis has even said that the SEC tournament's going to be tougher than the big tournament because, I mean, every team, dude, literally 14 of 16 teams are tournament teams. And you also have 2 1 seeds at minimum, 2 1 seeds, 2 seeds at minimum, maybe 3 2 seeds, depending on where A&M goes. So it's just, I mean, it's going to be an absolute brutal tournament, dude. And if we can find a way to win that tournament, that is going to give me a ton of confidence going into March or into March Madness. So, yeah, man, a lot of fun basketball coming up.
A lot of fun basketball indeed. And I'll tell you this, we are actually recording this podcast on my birthday, March 3rd. We're going to be dropping it the day after my birthday. And let me tell you, nothing is a better birthday present than being able to talk about the Vols whipping up on the Tide. So a lot of fun basketball for sure to come. What a fun game, man! Just absolutely, it was just one of those moments, right? It's like the Dobnail boot Hail Mary against Georgia in 2016, right? It's one of those deals where it's like, man, just what a fun. Even if you're not at the game, to be able to see it, and as a Vol fan, it's fun. It's awesome. It's a once in a lifetime kind of shot, and once in a lifetime kind of game. So
no question. And I'll make sure every time in clutch moments to talk crap about the player, so that somehow motivates him telepathically to make the shot. Because I'm telling you, dude, we were flaming him all game. Like, I just talk about his offense because he's insanely good defensively, and we talked about that as well. But dude, like, I don't know what I'm just gonna have to keep that in mind, even through football season, to just talk smack about the player, and maybe it'll motivate him.
Well, you talked smack about Igor Milicic too before you became his biggest fan. So
that's true.
There might be something to that. There might be something.
There might be.
Well, and honestly, we were flaming Chaz Lanier on this podcast for several episodes, and now all of a sudden he's hitting a stride. So maybe it's
maybe there's something
these
to
players.
It.
Honestly, maybe the players listen to the podcast and take it as a challenge.
They don't. But maybe one day. Maybe one day.
One can hope. One can hope.
Also, I wasn't going to let the people go without knowing it's your birthday, by the way. I was going to give you a little birthday wish on the pod.
Yeah, I could drop a little happy birthday on the pod.
Oh, yeah.
I will say it's honestly, again, what better way to spend a birthday than talking about beating the Tide?
Yeah, no doubt.
Frankly, I don't care what the sport is, right? Frankly, I don't care what the sport is. I mean, shoot, we could be talking about the fact that the Vols won the Microsoft Excel National Championship. If we beat
I don't
the
think
Tide,
Alabama has a Microsoft Excel.
I agree with you. I think they probably don't know what that program is. But my point is, whatever the sport, I don't care about whatever the sport is. I like talking about beating the Tide.
Beating Alabama.
And dude, let me just say this real quick too. We have owned Alabama across.
Oh, we
board
own Alabama.
For couple years.
Now you know what's funny. People may have forgotten this. They're actually, I think, maybe the only SEC team, maybe one of 2 SEC teams that beat us in a baseball tournament last year. Beat us in a series. They did beat us in a series in baseball last year. Now I could have swept that under the rug, but it doesn't matter because we're national champions. So
Right.
and we beat them, or we won the SEC tournament. I actually don't think we played them in the SEC tournament, but we won the SEC tournament too. So yeah, we just own Alabama across the board. It's just, I mean, get used to it. Alabama, and we weren't even going to talk about football, but you got me on the Tide hate, which I could talk about all night. They got their coach, DeBozo, complaining about NIL and how it's an unfair advantage and how Alabama can't afford the players. Cry me a river, you loser. Just get used to losing to Tennessee, dude. I'm so sick of it. Like, and you know how we feel about NIL. We've had many NIL discussions and how we think it's unorganized, blah, blah, blah. But if it means Alabama gets the... Because, dude, take a look at the 2026 recruiting rankings. They ain't on there, bro. I'm just letting you know. They are literally not on the list of the top 25 teams. It's getting kind of rough down in Tuscaloosa. So if unregulated NIL means Alabama's going to fail as a program and across the board, I guess I'm all for it.
Sign us up.
Sign me up.
The validity of college sports be damned if it means Alabama's downfall. But honestly, even before NIL and transfer portal started getting crazy, Josh Heupel came to town. He beat Saban, right? And so the sun was setting for Alabama as it is, dude, and so it's time. It's time for them to get used to it.
Out of any program to bellyache about NIL, dude, just because. Y'all were the highest bidder for years because you're the only one putting in bids. Okay? You're the only one actually paying players. And now you're bellyaching because everybody else can pay players. Why don't you shut up, dude, and have some self-awareness? Nobody cares about Alabama, dude. It's not some special program. You lucked into Nick Saban. Nick Saban got away with paying players for years. And now everyone can do it. Get over it. Get over it. Anyway.
Welcome to the new landscape, and welcome to once again being beneath the Tennessee Volunteers, where you belong. Frankly, your greatest coach of all time. Well, your greatest coach before Nick Saban, Bear Bryant, historic coach, even said that he learned everything he knew from General. Right? I mean, it's just we are the father of Alabama. Okay, we are the daddy, so to speak. And Rick Barnes is now establishing himself as that over the basketball program. So it's good to see, man. Feels good when you're winning all around, but it especially feels good when the winning includes beating the Tide. So, but speaking of winning all around, the baseball Vols also just can't stop winning. Now the baseball Vols haven't played Alabama yet. Look forward to them rounding out the trifecta this year of beating Alabama in all three major men's sports. But they did sweep the Houston Astros tournament that they were at this past weekend, and we got to catch a little bit of the Arizona game, hitting a few bombs, a couple back-to-back homers. I believe that was in the fifth inning. Yeah. And so these baseball Vols, dude, and they're up to number 2 in the polls. And so, look, it's looking like they aren't missing a beat. People you even had questions about our pitching, and yes, we still have questions, right? And we'll know more when we see play. But these baseball Vols, man, it looks like they're ready to compete again this year.
Yeah, it's becoming an extremely exciting team to watch. I've pretty much tried to watch or listen to every game I could, and have been keeping up with it pretty heavily. Dude, I don't think anyone expected, with all the newcomers coming in, to mesh together so well so quickly, dude. I mean, so much contribution from the new transfers, so much contribution from new freshmen coming in. I mean, there's 2 freshmen starting, 2 transfers starting, and they're all playing so well. Gavin Klein in this series was unbelievable. Hit 2 home runs against Oklahoma State, hit 2 home runs the following day against Rice. He is currently leading the team in home runs on the year. He was a transfer from Louisville. And then you also have a transfer, Andrew Fisher from Ole Miss, hitting a home run in the series. You have a freshman, Levi Clark, hitting multiple bombs in the series. I mean, dude, if that kid, Levi Clark, doesn't get drafted, he stays here for 3 years. Dude, as a junior, I mean, he's going to be the best player in baseball. Like, hitting bombs as a freshman in a major league park? Are you joking me? I mean, that's unbelievable. The kid has to be like 18, 19 years old. He's hitting home runs against solid competition, by the way. I mean, super solid competition in this tournament. And the Houston Astros park, dude. Bad day for the people that say Tennessee is just good because they're small park and hits bombs because they're small park. bad weekend for those cats, dude. I mean, we were hitting bombs all weekend long. I believe Dean Curley also had a home run as well. He had a home run against Oklahoma State. Arizona, they had beat A&M, and then look what we did to Arizona, which of course you can't really do those things with baseball because pitching each day is different. But dude, I mean, it was an unbelievable performance. And you brought up how I questioned the pitching coming into the year. I mean, honestly, it was fair question marks. I mean, you're replacing basically your 2 weekend starters, and what do? They replace him with Liam Doyle. By the way, looks like the best pitcher in college baseball. I mean, unbelievable what this dude is doing. Continuing to have an insane amount of strikeouts. He was unreal against Oklahoma State. Let me get the exact number of strikeouts here. Looks like he had 9 Ks against Oklahoma State. I mean, the dude is just nasty, bro. I mean, he's got nasty stuff. And then Marcus Phillips has really come into his own as the Saturday starter. And it looks like on Sundays we're just going to have a bullpen day. We have multiple guys playing well. Nate Snead, Dylan Loy, a couple guys from the national championship run last year. We also have, oh gosh, help me, the Combs brother. The guy who had the game-winning pitch last year.
His younger brother, right?
His younger brother's pitching on the team now. He came in against Arizona and finished the day out. I mean, dude, it's crazy because you can't get carried away because, again, we haven't seen them against the SEC yet. And we're going to know so much when we see them. Because, I mean, the SEC in baseball, we talk about how good the SEC is in basketball. Insane. Probably the best year ever for SEC basketball. Historically, SEC football is the best conference. And then SEC baseball might be the best out of the 3 major sports, dude. SEC baseball is insane, man. So once we get into conference play in baseball, we'll know a lot more. But, dude, it is hard to look at this team right now with how well they've played through up until this point in the season. It looks like we've replaced the offensive production and possibly got a better pitching staff. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, Liam Doyle is that good. And, I mean, dude, we're looking at, who knows, man. This team, if any team's going to two-peat in college baseball, it looks like it could be this 2025 Tennessee baseball team.
It could be this team. I mean, we're ranked number 2 right now, but even number 1 ranked LSU has dropped a game already this year. Yep. And LSU is going to be tough competition. Georgia's in the top 5. That's shocking. I didn't know they knew how to play anything other than
football.
Football.
Yeah.
And even then, they can barely do that. They can barely not get a DUI on the road. Right, and so I'm shocked that they have a decent baseball team. Throwing in a little more red team hate there, but it's insane what this team's been able to do. Like you said, even against this talent in this tournament, because Oklahoma State, Arizona. I mean, these are not pushover teams. They're not SEC caliber like you're talking about with the stacked SEC lineup, but these are good teams that we were able to. I mean, we handled them easily. And so we gave up 1 run against Arizona. We only gave up 1 run against Oklahoma State, if I'm not mistaken.
2 runs.
2 runs, and then 1 run against Rice.
3 runs against Rice.
3 runs? I thought we beat them 4-1.
No, we beat Rice 13-3.
Oh, 13-3.
But I mean, we were raking on them all day,
when you're scoring.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're scoring 13 points, then I guess it's okay that you'd give up 3 runs. But regardless, these are good teams that we're playing in this tournament. Now you talked about the transfers. I do want to mention real quick. Gotta get a little bit of news out there to folks. Most people will probably have seen this by the time this episode drops, but today we did just get news that the lawsuit for the new transfer first baseman Alberto Osuna, it was blocked, and so he is currently still denied eligibility to be able to play this year, which is unfortunate because he was a pretty big time transfer out of North Carolina. And so
that is unfortunate. Imagine adding more talent to this team. I mean, they're probably blocking it because they're looking at the landscape and like, dude, we got to give somebody else a damn chance, dude. This baseball
that's exactly why I'm bringing this up. that's why I'm bringing this up. That's exactly what I was about to say. Is knowing the SEC and I'm sure they've got plants in the federal court system, and they're like, man, we can't, we can't,
Dude,
we can't let the Vols
this
have
team
another.
is already too good.
Yeah. So it's sad news. I don't know how fight will continue. I don't know the legal process behind that. I'm not going to try to speak to that. But that did just drop today. That preliminary injunction against the NCAA was denied, and so he still remains ineligible. But even despite that fact, man, like you're talking about, this team is just still loaded because Tony Vitella just can't stop recruiting. He's the best recruiter in the country, best baseball coach in the country, and this team looks poised to make a run, even though we've got stiff SEC competition. I mean,
yeah,
we look like we're going to be able to hang with it.
I agree, man. It's another year where the lineup seems like it's 9 deep, man. All these dudes can hit bombs. Cannon Peebles hit one into the upper deck. I think that was on Sunday. It's nuts what he was able to do, how he was able to reload the roster. Because when you lose guys like Christian Moore and Dylan Dreiling and dudes like Blake Burke, I mean, you lost so much tiers. I mean, there are so many dudes we lost, so many dudes in the pitching staff we lost, and to reload like that after losing all that talent, I mean, I'm just shocked, dude. I mean, this could have been a year where we're looking at like a down year where we don't even make Omaha, and which, I mean, people can't really get upset with that. When you lose that kind of talent, I wouldn't be upset by that. But what did they do? They went and found insane transfer portal guys in Klein and Doyle and Fisher, and then these freshmen, dude. I mean, these freshmen are coming in and just, I mean, it's unreal. We also had Manny Martin, a freshman, home run in this series. I mean, you have multiple freshmen hitting home runs at a major league park. It's just, it's really unbelievable. Could not have predicted this. I mean, I expected to be good this year. I expected us to fight for Omaha, but we look like the best baseball team in the country, and it's like we have not missed a single beat since that 2024 championship. And it could be one of the, I mean, Tony Vitello has had a lot of great things happen since about 2021 when we made Omaha. Like, he's kind of been on this run now for a few years. But, dude, we could have, I mean, he might have taken it to another level after winning this national championship where we're basically a lock to make Omaha every year. And he might start stacking those rings at this point, dude. With how it's looking. I mean, just this early on in the year. We start the SEC play in about 2 weeks. We'll start with Florida. And we'll know a lot then. I mean, Florida's a great team. They're historically a great baseball team. So we'll see once we get in SEC play if we can keep up this insane run. But, geez, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better start in non-conference play, dude.
Can you imagine a Tennessee baseball dynasty being created? I mean, just going from
I'd love it.
Literal. I'd love it. I mean, going from a no-name program, right? Pretty much all you had to your program's name was Todd Helton,
Correct.
and
to casuals. Now, if you're a major baseball fan, you might know more guys.
Sure.
But like to casuals, it was Todd Helton. That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. We sure didn't have any, championships to brag about. We didn't have, we didn't have anything to write home about, so to speak, about the baseball program. And to go from that to now us talking about being in serious contention for, again, like you said, it's early, but in serious contention for potentially two-peating, getting back to Omaha, and just, being able to, again, like you said, because of his recruiting prowess and the transfer portal, I mean, if he can create a dynasty where year in and year out we're competing for Omaha, then, like you said, stacking those rings, and all of a sudden you've got a baseball dynasty. You've got Rick Barnes, doing things with the basketball program, and then we're the jury's still out in terms of the football program, and then Pipel's going to be able to get us over that hump.
Jury's still out, huh?
But
just had to throw a shot at the football coach. After a great episode with nothing but positivity, we got to throw a jab at our football coach.
No, listen. I mean about championships. Okay, championships.
Fair.
Championships. He's got the football program right, but we want championships. My point is that, I mean, shoot, we made the college football playoff. We are in contention for a national championship in basketball, potential 1 seed for the NCAA tournament. And, we're looking at potentially, going back to Omaha and potentially a 2-peat national championship in baseball. It's just, it's insane,
Enjoy it.
Where we're at right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think
enjoy it.
my only message to any Vols fans that have gotten this far into Vol Talk, first of all, thank you. Appreciate it. Leave a comment, leave a like, do all those things. But appreciate it. Don't continue to complain on Twitter constantly and call out players and everything. And listen, we have a podcast. Sometimes we'll call out some players' performances. So maybe I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But don't at least enjoy it. I've tried to emphasize that the last couple episodes. When we have this kind of level of success, let's not act like the world's falling when we have one loss, okay? Let's appreciate what we have going on in the and not everyone's baseball fans, so I get it. Not everyone follows baseball. Not everyone's basketball fans. But, I mean, we are experiencing an unbelievable level of success all around Tennessee right now. So you got to shout Danny White. I could shout him out every single episode, what he's done, the leadership he's brought. Unfortunately, the Lady Vols took an L, but he looks like he hit a great hire with Kim Caldwell. I mean, they've done so many great things at Tennessee since Danny White's been there, and yeah, man, we just got to appreciate while we got it, dude, because literally every sport, we are at the top of the sport. Top 5, top 10 of every single major sport right now, and yeah, man, it's just awesome. And that's why we started the podcast. That's why we're doing Vol Talk.
Yeah, and listen, and I was just about to touch on that, right? The reason we gotta appreciate this is because, don't get us wrong, just because we did start the podcast before this past football season, don't mean that Austin and I are bandwagon fans that we just started, just started liking Vol sports. We've been fans through the thick and thin. We've been fans. I've been a fan since before the 1998 football national championship. Okay, when I was a wee lad, 6, 7 years old, watching us, play Florida and things like that. And so we've been fans through thick and thin. We've been fans through the dark ages. We've been fans through. I remember the excitement back. It was I was a senior in high school when Bruce Pearl was our basketball coach, and there was starting to be some excitement around the basketball program. But then other than that, man, the past decade and a half, the dark ages of the football program, just really poor athletic department leadership, and really poor leadership from the university in general, right, from the chancellor on down. There was just there was not success. You had some success here and there, and like softball and stuff like that. But the Lady Vols, after Pat Summitt, they crashed, and the football program went through dark ages, and the basketball team wasn't making any noise after Bruce Pearl left, and the baseball team, as we've already talked about, was unheard of. And so really before now, we were purely a football school and Lady Vols basketball, right? And we had a lot of success in both of those sports, but then that we went through a dark period for both of those sports, and the other sports still weren't having any success. And then all of a sudden, now we are literally winning, like you said, across the board. I mean, we won a rugby national championship, for God's sake, the other year.
Hockey's in the top 5, dude. It's everything.
Hockey's the top.
It's literally everything.
It's across the board. And so, so I here's a little bit of lore for the podcast listeners. I used to work at UT in student services, and so I kind of saw this firsthand. But the university is also exploding right now in terms of growth, and it is. People don't understand. People kind of get mad sometimes at the amount of money that goes into sports programs and things like that, and they don't understand how much that stuff affects enrollment overall.
Admission. 100%
admission, and the university is absolutely exploding now. In general, SEC schools are exploding. There's a bunch of Northerners and a bunch of freaking West Coast kids coming out here because they can't get into California. I'm not gonna get on that soapbox. I can already see your face now.
Yeah.
You don't want to get on that soapbox.
Yeah. Let's get back to the topic at hand.
But my point is there's some other external factors that are leading to insane growth at the university. But overall, man, it's like you can't discount how huge of a ripple effect this winning has, in all of these sports across the board. People want to be involved, man. Who wouldn't want to be? It's the most passionate fan base in the country. It's so unique, right? We have just unique traditions, a unique mascot, unique, a unique color, and it's a fun time to be involved, man.
I mean, Rick Barnes said the same thing. He said this is the best fan base in the country. I mean, how many times have you heard that from Tony Vitello has said that. Josh Heupel has said that. I mean, and you don't hear every coach from every program saying that, dude. I mean,
No.
Tennessee fans are absolutely different. This is what Tennesseans care about. They care about the University of Tennessee and the success of the sports programs. And you're 100% right about enrollment and admissions into Tennessee. It's going to explode when the sports programs are playing well. I mean, people want to be a part of that, dude. That's what draws kids to schools is the sports programs. And unfortunately, when both of us went to college, Tennessee sucked at pretty much everything. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really want to go see the football team go 6-6 every year. But yeah, man, it's just, I mean, it's incredible right now. So I do appreciate it. I mean, listen, like I razz you about calling out Heupel, but yeah, I mean, I want to see the football program get to a national championship as well. But I'm at least appreciating the fact that we are in the conversation in every single sport. We literally can do this podcast year round because Tennessee Vol sports are relevant year round. I mean, it's literally relevant year round. So, yeah, man, I appreciate that and love watching it, dude. Love watching all this winning. So keep it up.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's hard not to enjoy it when when you literally have nothing winning to talk about. So, and like you said, it literally is going to be year round because by the time, basketball season is going to finally fade out, and then we'll be, knee deep into baseball season and SEC play, and then by the time baseball season's starting to wrap up,
It'll be
football time again, and so it's going to be year round winning. And let me tell you this, folks, we are still making slow baby steps towards better production and improving this podcast. But at the end of the day, we enjoy it, and we hope y'all enjoy it too when we can, again, talk about all this winning and all about all this fun stuff, man. It's fun to be able to just escape the mundane kind of real life kind of stuff and just escape for a little bit and have fun and rally around, people kind of rally around a team, or in this case, just an identity, the Tennessee Vol identity, Rocky Top, Vol Nation, and have fun and enjoy it, and then also beat Alabama. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? So it's awesome stuff. Austin, any other thoughts on any other sports related items or any of the items that we have touched on tonight?
Oh, actually, yes. Let's quickly touch on the combine performances of some of our Vols.
Oh, yes.
Still have a draft show coming up. Dakota's busy right now, but we will get that show at some point. Almost forgot about this. Yeah, we have to touch on this. James Pierce ran fast, dude. All of a sudden, I'm not hearing about character concerns, man. Once you run that 4.47, all of a sudden, I didn't hear anything. I think he's a good kid.
Fastest defensive lineman in the combine.
Correct.
Getting pulled over.
all of a sudden, we don't care about all that. I mean, in all seriousness, I think the character concerns are kind of ridiculous. I mean, I didn't hear any of that for 3 years at Tennessee. I never heard a bad word about James Pierce. He always showed up. He always, it felt like to me, he always gave his all. So that was really odd. But yeah, he ran really fast. That checks that box. I mean, it looks like James Pierce now has solidified himself as a first-round pick. Somebody else that had an insane run, Dante Thornton, receiver, ran a 4.3 at, actually I think his official time was 4.29 at
really
205 pounds, 6'5" to run a 4.3. Unreal run from him. That will help his stock tremendously, dude.
He was the second fastest receiver in the combine, if I'm not mistaken. So
second fastest receiver in the combine. That'll help his stock tremendously. D Samp was there. I don't believe Samp ran. Could be wrong about that. I don't think he ran, but he did the drills. He looked solid. Isaiah Simmons was getting a shout out on the combine because apparently Isaiah Simmons was at an NFL draft when he was in high school and was like huge. And J.J. Watt at the time tweeted, oh man, I'd like that guy on the Texans. When Isaiah Simmons was like 15 years old, and now he's at the combine looking to get drafted. Really cool moment for him. So yeah, dude, the Vols showed out at the combine. I mean, had multiple tweets about Dante Thornton and James Pierce, their fast runs. It was really cool. It's cool to see us have some dudes at the scouting combine again, and that are going to be drafted, dude. So at some point we'll get some analysis for that and team fits and things like that. That should be interesting. But yeah, man, cool to see that, and good for them, man. James Pierce is going to be a high pick.
Yeah, it's very cool to see great performances at the combine, and then just the excitement about Vols getting drafted. Because again, history guy, right? I'm gonna have to drop a little bit of knowledge on these folks. Once upon a time, before the most recent, kind of run in football, where again we've had down years, and Alabama and Georgia have been up and up. Once upon a time, Tennessee was tied with Miami for the most first rounders to be drafted out of any college programs, and so we have a history of producing NFL talent and having excellent players, and so yeah, I'll be really excited to see James Pierce join that history of those first rounders. It's going to be really cool, and who knows, we'll see how high he goes, and like you and I talked about, maybe the character concerns were kind of drawn, that maybe they were a negative PR campaign strategy drawn up by an intern, at one of the programs, trying to get him to drop to their team or whatever. But it looks like he's solidified first round, and it looks like maybe these other Vols get some great draft stock as well.
Yep, no question. I think the way Dante ran, dude, he could move himself up to a third round pick. I don't know what his grade was coming into the combine, but with that size and speed, at the very worst, he's a really good deep threat in the NFL, which is extremely valuable. So yeah, dude. I'm really excited to see where they go. And Pierce, Pierce is going to be an interesting guy because he could go anywhere from the top 10 to that bottom couple of picks in the first round. I don't see him getting past the Eagles at 32, though. If the Eagles have an opportunity to take him at 32, Howie Roseman will scoop him up all day long. But yeah, dude, it is going to be nice. It's because there was several years where we didn't even have anyone. There was years where we didn't have anybody drafted, which is sad. But in the former years, we had at least a first rounder every year, and it's going to be nice getting back to that. And Heupel has already kind of started that. We had Darnell Wright get drafted top 10 just a couple years ago, and then this year we'll have James Pierce, so should be good.
Yeah, and we will keep you folks posted on the draft special episode that we'll be doing, whether it's me, Austin, and Dakota, or just Austin and Dakota. We will drop that episode for y'all, and we'll keep y'all posted on that. And so, like Austin mentioned, folks, if you got this far in the episode, we appreciate you. Go ahead and give us a like, give us a comment, and for God's sake, if you got this far in the episode and you're not subscribed, give us a subscription. We'd appreciate it. We're still growing the podcast, but it's been a lot of fun, and we're going to be keeping an eye on all things for y'all. The baseball team will continue its kind of pre-SEC play, and the basketball team will look to lock themselves in to that #1 seed with a game against Ole Miss on the road coming up, and then the final home game of the regular season, the final game of the regular season against South Carolina on Saturday. So we will catch you all on the other side of those games. Until then, go Vols.
GBO.